All right, news of the day. Michael King available on the trade market, and Sheel Seidler has spoken to Kevin Acee of the San Diego Union Tribune via email, and so we'll get to that. But yeah, Ken Rosenthal this morning in The Athletic mentioning Dylan Cease and Michael King. We already knew about Dylan Cease, but he says here one reason the open market remains clogged is that teams continue to discuss trades. Luis Castillo of the Mariners, the Padres' Dylan Cease, and Michael King, for example, are among the starting pitchers who remain in play. King asked for 8.8 million in arbitration. The Padres offered 7.325. A hearing appears likely. Unless I'm totally missing something, I have not seen people mention Michael King. Now, maybe fans, but I hadn't seen to this point Dennis Lin or Kevin Acee mention Michael King. The players that I have seen mentioned are, I think, four guys: Luis Ariz, Dylan Cease, Robert Suarez, and Jake Cronenworth, as guys that have been floated out there in possible trade, you know, scenarios. Michael King, though, this one I don't get. Like Dylan Cease, okay, the most expensive starting pitcher that's a rental. All right. He's not going to come back in free agency. Okay. Could we say the same thing about Michael King if he continues to pitch the way that he did as a starting pitcher and he stays healthy? He's not going to come back. We could say that. But why I don't see Michael King, why I don't like Michael King, I mean, I don't like Dylan Cease going either, but Michael King over Dylan Cease to trade King and not Cease doesn't make sense to me when you have a budget here. Michael King, regardless of if he wins in arbitration or not, let's say he wins and he gets 8.8 mil. That's still millions less than what Dylan Cease will be getting, which is like 13 mil, something like that, in his final year before free agency. So if you're the Padres, wouldn't you rather keep the cheaper guy? And oh, by the way, he has less innings on his arm because he hasn't been a starting pitcher for as long as Dylan Cease has been. And he was the more consistent starting pitcher, I think, this past season over Dylan Cease. He had an amazing outing in the postseason against the Braves. Wouldn't you rather keep Michael King? Who do you have a better chance of keeping long term, Dylan Cease or Michael King? I would think Michael King. Both are going to be expensive, though. And with the Padres not being, it doesn't seem like they were close with Jurickson Profar, and he goes to the Braves, and good for him, got his money. They couldn't even bring back Higgy on, I thought, a respectable, fine offer that the Rangers were able to get him with. I don't think that was like a big overpay coming off the year that Higgy had. The only move, they haven't done anything in free agency, major league free agency. They got Maldonado on a minor league deal, and they acquired Ron Marinaccio, who was DFA'd by the White Sox, to make room for Martin Perez, who the Padres had and obviously weren't going to bring back because they didn't even pitch him in that NLDS series against the Dodgers. So it's just interesting how things have played out this offseason. But yeah, like back to my point, they may not keep either of these guys in terms of like long term. But if I'm choosing one person who makes more sense to keep, it would be Michael King, I would imagine. Now, maybe some teams would rather have Michael King over Dylan Cease because he is going to be cheaper than what Dylan Cease would be if you have to pick up his entire salary. And maybe the Padres can get what they want for Michael King, but they can't get what they want for Dylan Cease. Maybe that's what this is. Or maybe it's the Padres, they're not trading Michael King. They just have to listen because that's their job. That could be what this is as well. Where Dylan Cease, to me, Dylan Cease feels more like, yeah, he's going to get traded than Michael King. This is the first time that we've heard, at least I remember hearing seeing Michael King out there in trade conversations. This offseason's already been worse enough. The whole Sidler stuff, and I'll get to that here in a moment, the latest there, but there's that. Profar goes to another NL contender that you're going to be fighting probably for a playoff spot. And if not, you'll be fighting with the Phillies, and that'll be tough. Roki goes to the Dodgers. Snell goes to the Dodgers. Teoscar Hernandez goes back to the Dodgers. Conforto signs with the Dodgers. Blake Snell, I just mentioned him, sorry. Willie Adames signs with the Giants. Corbin Burns signs with the D-backs. Juan Soto signs with another NL contender that you'll be fighting for a playoff spot with, the New York Mets. So, yeah, just things haven't been going great, in Padre land here. So if they were to trade their best starting pitcher from this past season, consistency-wise, and someone who doesn't have a ton of innings on that arm, yeah, that's not going to make me very happy. I don't want to trade Dylan Cease, but I'm more at the acceptance stage with him than I am with Michael King. And again, financially, even if Michael King wins an arbitration, if I'm the Padres, wouldn't I want to keep the guy that is cheaper, millions of dollars cheaper than Dylan Cease, if I'm going to have to trade one of them to create some more flexibility and bring in some younger, controllable arms? But like I said, maybe Michael King is easier to deal. Maybe that's what the Padres are finding, and they're like, well, we got to get some flexibility somehow. So we'll deal Michael King, even though we don't want to, but we'll deal him so we can get that flexibility. And it's not too bad having Dylan Cease still in your rotation. But it would suck to lose Michael King. But we know like they don't have money. Have I seen the books? No. But AJ Preller doesn't want to be going to arbitration over less than $2 million with Michael King. He's never gone to arbitration before. The last one was before he got here, and that was Andrew Kashner in 2014. There's a reason why he doesn't want to go. Less than $2 million. If they had the money, Michael King would have gotten his 8.8 mil, or they would have at least settled, and they wouldn't be making this big deal here. So, yeah, clearly there's a problem here. Everything is not fine. Like I've said before, there's talent on this team for sure, but it's disappointing seeing Michael King even mentioned coming off of the year that he just had. And this is someone that Kevin Acee has wrote about this offseason, that the Padres, they want to extend this person. And now he's remains in play. So meaning like he was already in play before, we just hadn't heard about it, is how I take that there. All right, next topic. Sheel Seidler speaks to the Union Tribune. Kevin Acee, great job from him. Seemed like I was listening to him on John and Jim earlier, and weeks of reporting, talked to between 15 and less than 20 people, I think, for one of his stories. And then he put out sort of like a Q&A email convo. He sent questions, it seems like, and Sheel Seidler on the record answered these questions. And you can go read it for yourself on the UT. And it's the Union Tribune. It's Kevin pretty much saying, I found this information, giving you the opportunity to respond. And there's people that he talked to that are saying like, no, Sheel wasn't really involved with Padres decision-making while Peter Sidler was the owner. So they're kind of confused why she wants this now. That's sort of what I'm getting from here. And Sheel is pretty much saying like, it's hard to challenge these false claims from people that are being anonymous. They're not putting their names to it. She mentions that it is my understanding they have been instructed, talking about people in the organization or people in the know, in writing not to assist me in explaining their knowledge of my role in the decision-making related to the team. It is also my understanding they feel they can't help without losing their jobs, even though, as I understand it, most of the baseball part of the organization remains supportive of me. And that makes sense. Like, for those that are seeing this and they're like, well, Sheel can't find a person to back her up on this when she's speaking on the record. Isn't that a problem? I think that definitely could be a problem. No doubt. I'm not trying to hide that. But what I would say is, like, are we surprised? This doesn't mean that Sheel is wrong. It's people that don't want to lose their jobs. So, like, if I was in the organization, would I want to support Sheel if I knew that was right? Of course. But if I'm going to lose my job because of it, working in a major league front office, why would I what is the benefit from me doing that? Keeping a good relationship with Sheel Seidler? Or, I mean, what I would do, I guess, if I was in that situation is I would make Sheel understand. It seems like she does understand. Like, hey, I'd love to help you out here, but I don't want to have any risk. I don't want any paper trail, not paper, but you get what I'm saying. Any trail of me helping you out and talking when the organization lets only a certain amount of people talk for the organization. I don't want to risk that. What benefit do I get from this? I'd rather keep my job in Major League Baseball, you know? So it's understandable. Really, again, like her, and you can go read it in the UT, her responding to these questions and all that. And, part of one of Kevin's articles today was the Sidler brothers again, like pretty much saying Sheel's wrong. I'm not quoting them, but Sheel's wrong. And she's not in position to be owner of the team. And I posted on Twitter here. 1 second. Let me find this. Here it is. The trustees of the Peter Sidler Trust, this was their statement, are solely focused on carrying out Peter's written instructions that include setting the Padres up to build on the momentum of the 2024 season in pursuit of a World Series championship for the city of San Diego. And what I see from that is like, okay, that's something that you're being told probably to say. Like, that sounds cool and great. But how exactly are you setting the Padres up to build on the momentum of the 2024 season right now in pursuit of a World Series championship? How are you doing that when you have not signed a major league free agent? You're letting Profar go to an NL contender. You see the Dodgers making all these moves. You see other NL contenders signing players and making their team better. And what are we doing? We're possibly trading two of our best starters, possibly trading our leadoff hitter. Like, there's talent on this team, but there are holes on this team, obviously, now. And there have been holes now for months. And what are they going to do to fill that? It's going to be filled because you got to field a baseball team. I get that. But how much money is there? And how exactly are you building on this momentum? You're doing a pretty bad job at that right now. Things could change, but so far this offseason, you're doing a crappy job at fulfilling this legacy and, Peter's written instructions of setting the Padres up to build on 2024, pursuit of a World Series championship. Actions speak louder than these words here, So I can hit on some more points here about, Sheel being questioned about not being at very many games, and her response was pretty much like, hey, we had a divide and conquer thing where Peter was the chairman, so he was going to be more in the spotlight, and some deal has been made about her not going to owners meetings, but then she says she did, but maybe she went to the meeting, but she wasn't in the owners meetings, like in the room. And it seems like Peter was. There are people that are making I don't know about big deal, but they're making a deal about that. What I would say to that is that her job when she's not the chairman of the team? Is that her job to be in those meeting rooms? We don't know the conversations that she and Peter had together talking about the team, and maybe Peter did ask her and they went over notes and all that on what was said, and she gives her input, and you can still know. Sure, it would help to be in those meetings, like literally in them, but you could still know what to be doing when your husband is the chairman of the team and now you want to take over. But to me, who is going to take over, it comes down to the paper, the documentation. And I just don't know if Sheel has that concrete stuff, where on the other side of things with the Sidler Trust, it seems like they have more of that concrete stuff, if that makes sense, like the actual documentation. She was saying how she doesn't believe she's attending games more frequently now after Peter's passing, but her presence may feel more noticeable because fans and Padres staff have sought her out to share personal memories and experiences that they had with Peter. A big deal kind of has been made about the owner's suite, and she says that she wasn't available to RSVP, like the access to the RSVP list for the owner's suite. They no longer got it. Some are saying that she was never kicked out of that, but she was advised before one of the October postseason games to go sit in the owner's seats by the Padres dugout, and that's where she was. I want to say Alicia Gwynn was there with her for at least one of those games. I know that Alicia has been down there with Sheel. So, yeah, it's just, for me, I'm getting tired of this. I think fans are getting tired of this. We'll see. It seems like the vote for John Sidler is still being as planned. It's going to go on as planned as of now. And I think before spring training is when he would be voted in as the chairman of the club. But yeah, right now I'm just tired of the back and forth, and it's just like, can we improve the baseball team? Do Padres fans need to be hearing every detail about this? Do we need to be going? There are some that are interested in this. I'm not saying like, Kevin, don't write about this. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to read it and I'll probably talk about it. But as I talk about it right now, like, it's just draining and tiring to talk about this. And then on top of it, it's not like it would be one thing if whoever is running the team right now is giving AJ Preller the go ahead to go spend money and go improve the team. You think Preller doesn't want to improve the team? Of course he does. But there are limits on him. And so it sucks coming off this past season and looking at other NL contenders. It's not even about just the Dodgers, but other NL contenders as well. They're improving. And we're sitting here, and I know it's January 27th. There's time. And even when spring training comes around and there are ground balls being hit and bullpens being thrown in Peoria, like, you can still make moves to improve the team. I get that. But we are getting closer to the season still, day by day. And if you're not getting better, are you falling behind? I mean, they're not the same. Right now, they're not. They are worse than they were when this season ended. That's just a fact. So I just want to see, I want to be done with this ownership stuff. And I want to be able to talk about baseball and moves that the Padres make. But they're not making moves to improve the team right now, really. I guess, nothing against Ron Marinaccio, but that's not going to get the fan base going.